Okay, welcome to the Bucky Call this evening. I think it's somewhere around June 7th or 8th, depending on what weekend you're at. I'm going to just give my little how I'm feeling and what I'm expecting, and then I'm going to leave for a while. I'm turning it over to Ann to conduct the call, and then I'll join back in about an hour or so as soon as I can. And I'm going to be sorry to miss. I'm feeling pretty good. I got a lot going on, but I got to tell you, I'm almost on the verge of understanding all this stuff, and I think I've been on the verge for 5 years, but I feel more on the verge than ever before. So I'm excited. So Manu, how are you feeling, and what do you expect out of tonight's call? And then I'll see you guys in about an hour. Manu.
Hey, I feel good and excited. The ladies are taking the lead tonight, and it's going to be fantastic. So I expect a lot from Anne, from Lee tonight, and I will be listening and contributing. That's what I expect, and they will progress. Lee, how do you feel? What do you expect?
I feel wonderful that I've been able to get on with you guys. I've been wanting to do this for 6 months. I'm going to enjoy every part of this. It's a true lesson that I get every week. Richard, can you take over? Your turn.
Yeah.
Yes, Ali, maybe you to get you into the thing, you just what you do is how do you feel and what would you like to take away today? What do you expect to take away today? Pass it on to Richard and you say that.
Oh, all right. I was so confused last week. I need
No worries.
a little more, and that's what I'm focusing on today. And I turn it over to Richard.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm feeling pretty good. We had a pretty good week. On Wednesday, we had our panel discussion on the myths of suicide, and we had over 400 signed up, and 150 came online. And the others can sign in on demand and watch it whenever they have sort of time. And this morning we had one of our 3 or 4 a year community circles, which is a open and safe opportunity for people who've had different kinds of lived experiences with suicide to be able to come and share and talk in a safe and comfortable environment, and for others to just listen. That's pretty hard sometimes, just to listen and not either support or comment or just kind of go around the circle and listen in the presence of somebody else's thoughts and experiences. So I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to getting more out of our readings. And one other thing, I had a phone call today from a former student back in the 90s, and she got really interested in Bucky Fuller's ideas, and especially the tetrahedron. And she spent many years now working on a tetra cartoon, and working with the 5 platonic solids. And she's had a number of health issues, so she's been on again and off again. But she called out of the blue, and we had a really good chat talking about our experiences years ago and her continued interest in understanding and learning about Fuller. She was saying that she has a number of his books, and the one that she's just starting to reread again is Cosmography. So anyway, that's my update. Feeling great. Anne, how are you feeling, and what do you expect to get out of tonight?
Well, glad to be here. Definitely very glad to be here because I missed the 2 of the sessions last week. Yeah. Well, it has been a very eventful week since last Friday, because I think I was kind of sharing that we are actually hosting and meeting with one of the singers from one of the band members from 98 Degrees. I don't know if you remember that band. They were during the same time as Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. They're during the 90s. So one of them, we went to Manila to meet up with him there, and then got to watch the show, got to have meetings with him. A really, really down to earth, very, very friendly, humble guy. So it was really, really good because then we brought him over to Malaysia. He spent 3 days, and then we went off to Singapore, and we just got back yesterday. So anyway, we are collaborating with him in just like we're collaborating with a few other like Jamie Jones and Natasha Wright from, so they're coming over here to work with our students, the kids, not just the students in our school. We're opening the door. So the one that's coming up is actually Singapore is opening that door to working with us to bring the students, the creative part of education, of who they are. Actually, we're looking more at the nature of of who we all are, which is we're humans, right? And so more so with the advent of AI, we're gonna have to focus more on what makes us human. The experiences, and every age anew, it can be the same story, but not. Love is love, right? There's love, but then it's at the same time different at every age, at every community, cultures are different, and as we move forward further, it will change further. And then you're dealing with both the previous generation and the generation today and the generation in the future. That's a crazy load of emotions to unpack as human beings, right? So that's more what we're working on, all things that make us human, so that we can work with AI as the tools. All right. Anyway, that was what came about this past week, and I promoted a critical path to a few other people from different parts of the world. So let's see what they get out of it. Okay, so I'm really pleased with our discussions here as usual. The group is just like perfect for me. Now the next thing is the book. Actually, we will be working on yes. So I'm done with mine. Yeah, my sharing. Next is the book. It's Amy Edmondson's Bucky, A Fuller Explanation. I have it up to last week's page. I'm not sure if somebody can help me to share with me what page.
I think it was
152.
We're now at
Duality and the IVM on page 152.
okay. All right. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we're looking at page 152, is it? Or 162?
Yeah.
162.
150.
Oh, duet.
152.
152.
152. There you are.
Okay, do you want me to read?
Got it? Sure. Manu, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to read from the book though. We now introduce a new level of flexibility with the addition of a new set of vertices. In the exact center of each tetrahedron and octahedron, these vertices are connected at the original to the original IVM vertices, thereby introducing radial vectors into the original cells. Figure 910 shows a single octahedron and tetrahedron with this center nodes. Do you see what it means?
Okay, you know what? First time doing this. Do you want to backtrack a little bit or was it clear last week that anything you want to backtrack or add or say before we
I want to show you.
unpack these?
I want to show you something. This is an octahedron here. Do you see my exhibit here? Do you see it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a tetrahedron. Right?
Okay.
Where is the center of the octahedron or of the tetrahedron? Do you know where it is?
In the center.
Yeah, but where is the center? If I consider this base, you see the base I'm showing with this little stick? Right?
It's the radial end of the center.
Yes, and the vertex that is on top here. You see this vertex here?
Yeah.
This base and this vertex. Now see this. You see this inside?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine a vertical that comes perpendicular to the face. That is facing below at the center of it. You know, it comes perpendicular to it. The center of a tetrahedron is 1/3 from that base.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So the center of the tetrahedron will be here. Will be here, about where my finger is. Right? Let me show it with a pen. The center of the tetrahedron will be here, where my pen is showing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from that center, if you project anything from it perpendicular to the face, there are 4 faces around that center, right?
Yes.
So if you project, that's what she's talking about. So this blue will be 1. Half of this blue, let me just see, will be 1 coming here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It will also come here. It will also come here, and it will also come here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what she talked about, projecting on the tetrahedron. Now, remember that the octahedron is in the tetrahedron. Do you remember that?
Mm.
Let me show you what I mean. Here. The octahedron is in the tetrahedron. Right? You remember the division of the tetrahedron that Steve showed and that I've been showing here? I don't know. I have a better picture somewhere. You remember the one that I showed you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
This one. Yes, the octahedron is in the tetrahedron.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You see, imagine this is the tetrahedron. The octahedron is inside. You see that now?
Yes.
The red, the green,
Mm-hmm.
and the blue are in the tetrahedron, right?
Mm.
So the octahedron and the tetrahedron share the same center. Do you agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
That's why you have it there.
Mm.
So it's from that center you shoot into the tetrahedron as we talk about. That's the figure that you have to the right. Did you grasp the practicality of it? We know from simple geometry that the center of the tetrahedron of any triangle for that purpose, the center of gravity of a triangle is 1/3 from the base of a triangle. That is a general mathematical stuff. It's true for every tetrahedron. It doesn't need to be a regular tetrahedron. You understand that?
Yep, that's
Why
clear.
is it?
The center is always 1/3 from the base. And why is it the center? If you calculate the volume that is below that and on top of it, those volumes are the same. It's balanced. Right? You can also measure it by boiling a tetrahedron. If you put it in water, you see where the center is. So 1/3. And given that tetrahedron, this octahedron is in this tetrahedron, they share the same center. Right? They share the same center. If they share the same center, and then you take ready to the faces, they are going to appear like figure 9, 10. Everybody, if you had this, you can build it all the time, or you can do it with paper.
Manu,
Yes.
why is it only at the third instead of half?
Because look at this here. Let me take this. Let me show you here. You see this one here? This is the third. You see here?
Oh.
Okay. If you look at the base, it's more spread and less height. The top of this is less spread and more height.
Yes.
Do you see it?
Yes, I do.
The center is there. I'm holding it here. Do you count to show you, do you see the number of the tetrahedron that are on the top?
Yes.
There are two now. There are two frequencies on the top.
Yes.
And at the bottom, you have two. You have one, huh? What I mean is that if you measure the height like this, here is one triangle like this. One. And here you have two triangles. One, the one that is plane, and the one that is hollow. So you have two heights for one height.
And
that's why it's 1/3 at the bottom, 1/3 the center here, and 2/3 from the top.
And they're equal in distance?
No,
volume?
the distance to the top is twice the distance to the bottom.
But is it the same volume?
But the spread is twice at the base to the top.
I think I know what Lee is asking for, because I was puzzling over that in the earlier days as well. The reason why it's at 1/3 is because the other lines coming out from the other three nodes, they are perpendicular as well.
Yeah, but look
Correct
at it
me
physically.
if I'm wrong.
Yeah, don't go to just sense it. We build this triangle by frequencies, right? Every triangle on this is equal to the other. Every in the area. These are all equilateral triangles. Yeah. This triangle, the surface is the same as that of this one. You see them? Whether they are hollow or they. Now, if you are looking at the dimension of a height, do you see that at the bottom of the plane, you see the thing that I'm holding here?
Yes.
At the bottom is just 1, and at the top is 2. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So if you see that, it means that on the total height, the part on the top is contributing twice, and the part of the bottom is contributing only once.
But it looks like they are equal in volume.
Yes, what is important for the center of equilibrium, the center of gravity of a center, is that the volumes are equal for them to balance.
Yes.
So if you look at the volume that will be on top, is more elongated.
Yes.
But is equal the same volume that is at the bottom. That's what defines.
Thank you.
That's what is the equilibrium. Okay?
Yes.
But further look at this. Let me hold this with something that is stronger, with this ruler. Further look at this way. Do you see the octahedron here?
Yes,
Do you see it?
yes, I do.
This is octahedron. One
Yeah,
plane, two plane, and three planes.
uh-huh.
A coaf is the same thing as this guy here. Just 1 second. Where are you going away? It's the same thing as this guy here.
Yes. I'm looking at one
Octahedron
right
is,
now.
yes, you see inside there. If you take the traces, you can find them here. Oh, actually, that's an idea. So because of these traces, because it's exactly inside symmetrically, you see that the center of the octahedron is the same as the center of this tetrahedron.
Yeah,
So if you project then from that center to the surfaces here of the thing, that's what she's describing here in figure 910. Okay?
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Manu. Richard, you have anything to?
Well, if he wants to add to that and just point to the radial vectors.
What do you say, Richard?
I say in adding on to what you've talked about where the center is, then through the diagram or your way of showing us where the radial vectors are.
You want me to show you? You want me to show you the radial vectors? The radial vectors will be here.
And you can see that quite easily in figure 910, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pull out the figure again. Okay, I'll pull it out now.
Yes. It will be coming here. You see that? This is, let me put something that's red. If I could put it inside, the radial vector will be coming like this.
I can't see it. Get it down lower.
Richard, what is that radial vector that you're referring to?
Well, it's
Here, when she talk about,
it's the lines coming from the four corners into the center.
Oh, I see.
Okay, got it.
And that makes a square.
Well,
Or at least it looks like one.
the square on the other side, the square is in the middle of the octahedron.
Uh-huh.
yes.
Because the octahedron is like two Egyptian pyramids put together base to base.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we carry on, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, because if you read this thing, you just stay to mathematics, it becomes too complicated. The visual is very powerful. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Should I continue reading?
So Manu,
Yes.
yes, please.
So, angles.
Carry on.
The central angles of a tetrahedron is approximately 109.28, 109 degrees, 28, how do you call it? The cent of radius of degrees. Exactly equal to the octahedron dihedral angle. No longer surprised by such relationship, we go on to look inside the octahedron and note its central angle of 90 degrees, which is the surface angle of a cube. The octahedron's three-body diagonal of 6 radii does form XYZ axis. Figure 910 highlight this central angle by showing two polyhedra with central node and radii. Figure 910, where is it? Okay, yes. Right angles are thus integrated into the IVM system as byproduct of a stable triangulated octahedron rather than by an arbitrary initial choice of a network of unstable cubes. Since the IVM complex of octahedra and tetrahedra emerges automatically as a consequence of the unique property of spatial omnisymmetry, the array is not the product of an arbitrary choice. Any comment?
Yeah,
Well, I'm confused.
Pardon?
It's okay.
I-
Sometimes
you-
if we,
Are there
if we read
comments?
on, it could. Hmm.
You want me to continue reading?
Richard, you wanted to say something? No, wait, hold
Yeah.
on. Richard, anything from you?
well, what I'm getting out of that is that normally, in order to understand the XYZ coordinate system, somebody will draw a cube, if you want, and they'll show you the x coordinate and the y and the z all coming out from a point that's 90 degrees. And so you get the impression that the 90 degrees comes out of the cube, whereas I think what she's saying is that that's an arbitrary sort of an attempt to explain XYZ off of an unstable cube, because the cube is not stable all by itself.
Mhm.
But when you understand what Manu has just read, that's what I'm getting anyway, is that there's a natural formation of the XYZ inside the octahedron in the square that is naturally formed. That's how I'm reading it, so that we get to appreciate that these coordinate systems didn't just sort of get fashioned out of something that was unstable, or was the creation of somebody's innovation or intuition. It actually came from the combination of the tetrahedron and the octahedron together. Is that right, Manu?
Yes, yes. You know, what she's saying, that instead of just coming on a plane and putting, you know, 3 axes,
Right.
and say that is octahedral, you have to get something that is in tune with. In other words, she's saying that, let me draw it here very quickly. She's saying this one. If I put it here, I'll show you now. It's going to be very clear. If you see this here, is I can take and I do any stuff like this. But
I
in
can't see
reality,
it.
you see this is XYZ.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me put X, Y, Z. But I could have done alternatively. You see this one?
Not yet. Oh, yes.
That's another XYZ. I call it UTS 3.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But you see that this one maybe is going around a circle like this. That's actually what you do in a normal system. You see this one, right?
Yes.
If you take the radius from this center to any point of the circle around this, you can at every time define an XYZ. That XYZ is angular.
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
To correct the orthogonal system, they introduce angles, 3 angles,
Mm-hmm.
in order to correct it. But it would have been more natural if you just took it from here. In all direction of IVM, that is, I'm taking it the IVM here, of
I can barely
a
see it.
circle here, you can define XYZ all the time.
Okay.
It is more natural.
Hey,
Richard, just now, just to go back to what Richard is saying. So, the way I look at it also is that this portion of it, it's back to the tetrahedron, it's octahedron, it's cubes being not stable, tetrahedron being the tetrahedron being stable, and basically this is coming from like literally as a universal principle, right? A general principle, correct? You literally are showing it from all different aspects of I guess mathematical concepts. And so this is from the angle. When you look at the angles, it also supports what we've been talking about. Is that right in where I'm going with this?
I understand
Just
what you're talking about. I understand what you are talking about. But what she's saying is that you cannot describe a world that is always moving. It's ceaselessly moving.
Okay.
From a fixed referential. It will not work. Because as soon as you move on the x-axis, you see, do you understand that as soon as you move from on this x-axis here, it has turned already. Because your world is swirling. Our real world is constantly swirling.
Yep.
It is moving all the time. We are traveling at I don't know how many thousand miles per hour. I don't know, Richard will remember what it is, but we're traveling. And we are circling the sun on this earth. And we are turning on ourselves. So how the heck can you describe that word from fixing one point and say this is the point? It's going to be distorted. It's never going to be, yes. So you need to have a referential that is moving or that is prior to the structure. That's at all time. An angle is an angle, right? So, so at every time, when you define it that way, you'll be able to describe precisely your environment, your geometry. That's what it means here.
Okay. So I think we go on with polyhedra and so on.
Okay. But this
Richard,
is fundamental. I hope
that
I hope that this is really cemented in us now.
Yeah, you got us connected back to the earlier part of this chapter. Yeah. Richard, do you want to take this on?
On the reading, you mean?
To read.
Yes, on the polyhedra.
Yeah, okay, I can read. I'll also read out of my book. So we now observe considerable expansion of our inventory of generated shapes. Starting with the most familiar, we isolate the minimum cube, formed by a single tetrahedron embraced by 4 neighboring eighths octahedral pyramids, or octants. The cube is once again based on the tetrahedron. We first encountered this relationship in quotation, structure and pattern integrity, end quotes, using the tetrahedron to establish the minimum stable cube. And now we've determined the exact shape of the leftover space, 4 1/8 octahedra. This observation indicates that the degenerate stellation of the tetrahedron forms the cube. The four vertices of the tetrahedron, together with the four centers of the neighboring octahedra, provide the 8 corners of the basic building block. Its 6 square faces are created by 2 adjacent quarters of the square cross-section of single frequency octahedron, figure 911. Where's 911 here?
The next page.
This one.
Yeah, okay. And so there's 911, and there's the cube face laid out two-dimensionally. Next, we embrace a single octahedron by 8 quarter tetrahedra, thereby outlining the rhombic dodecahedron, whose 12 diamond faces have obtuse angles of 109 degrees, 28 minutes, and acute angles of 70 degrees, 32 minutes, generated by the tetrahedral central angle and 2 adjacent axial angles, respectively. Its 8 3-valent vertices are the centers of an embracing tetrahedra, not embarrassing, an embracing tetrahedra, while its 6 4-valent vertices are the original octahedron vertices, figure 912. Once again, we observe the relationship of duality between the vector equilibrium and the rhombic dodecahedron. The former has 14 faces, 6 4-sided and 8 3-sided. 14 faces. So 6 4-sided is like a square, and 8 3-sided is like a triangle, corresponding to the 4-valent vertices and the 3-valent vertices of the latter. Well, likewise, the 12 4-valent vector equilibrium vertices line up with the 12 rhombic faces for figure 414. That's way back there, right? And they're going fine.
Yeah. It's going to take a bit to go back there. So
yeah, I'm just going
to
on the book. I'm just going to quickly see if I can find it.
Can I help again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's just take the first. I saw a number there that 1/8 of octahedra is 1 tetrahedra. Did you see why? At the base of page 153.
Base of 153.
At the base
You want me
of
to go
page
back to
1.
that?
Yeah. Base of page 153. Okay.
Where it is, yes.
Okay, let me show you something. Can I share my
Yes.
cartoon here? Do you see my cartoon? This is what you call a 1 frequency or a 2 frequency tetrahedron. One frequency tetrahedron. Okay? Now, do you see 4 tetrahedra here?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
And do you see 1 octahedron?
Yes.
Remember the void.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So 1 octahedron equals 4 tetrahedra. Do we agree to that?
Yes.
Because they divide exactly into 2. This 1 frequency octahedron. Okay.
Yes.
Now take a 2-frequency octahedron. 2-frequency because of this. You have 2 centers here. Remember that the tetrahedron here are radial and the octahedron is gravitational. When I mean gravitational is that it goes in. The tetrahedron go out. Right? Or vice versa.
What do you mean?
Okay. You see that the octahedron is void now,
Yes.
while the tetrahedra are full. You see that? The tetrahedron concentrate energy and the octahedron let go of energy. Or
Oh.
vice versa, the tetrahedron let go of energy and the octahedron concentrate.
Ah.
They are always together. It's always concentrating means gravitational. Letting go being radiational. So whatever you consider here, you take one as concentrating, the other one is necessarily gravitating, radiating. If you take it as gravitating, the other one is necessarily radiating. That's why they're called duals. They always tangle. They're always together, these two guys. This is a 1-frequency octahedron. Is 1-frequency because it has one radiating one here, 1-frequency. It goes out just one from this center of this space.
Oh.
You call it 1-frequency. This one is called 2 frequencies because you have 1, 2. This one. Okay. Now, what she's saying is that if you take a 2-frequency, that is 12, no? That is twice this one.
Yes.
And twice that one, inside here, if you do the same exercise that you have been doing, you see now that you have here, right? Instead of having 4, 4, you have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do I mean? Instead of having 4 tetrahedra that are concentrating, right? You're going to have something else. You're going to have, let me just count it. Okay, let's take it differently. You see here, let's take it this way. You see? This is the same figure, right? This is one octahedron, one tetrahedron embracing another tetrahedron. Do you see that?
Yeah.
The white is one tetrahedron. The light brown is another tetrahedron. Do you see it? Now, how many tetrahedra are pointed out? How many? Can you
2.
count?
2.
It's 8.
Oh,
It's
it's
1,
8.
2, 3, 4 here.
I see.
And 1, 2, 3, 4 there is 8. The Star of David is 8 tetrahedra pointing out. 8. But we know that inside is the octahedron. The octahedron is in red. Do you see this red line? This blue line and this green line? Red, blue, green. They are the outline of the octahedron. So we can deduce that since this is balanced, one octahedron is how many tetrahedra?
8.
Fine, good, you got it. Do you get it?
I was thinking that
Um,
you meant the one that was up on top. So I said one was or two were up on top.
Yeah,
And
it is. You have to
now it's
look all
over,
around. Yes.
yeah, all the way around the circle.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Now
This
I
is a demonstration you
understand.
see here. So you see here at the base of page 153. It say, and now we have determined the exact shape of the leftover space, which is 1/8 of the tetrahedron, of the
Uh-huh.
octahedron. Do you get me?
Yes.
So this star is exactly the same thing that is showing with the cube there
Mhm.
on page 911.
okay.
And then fold that continuously and control, you have the 912. And what did you say?
Yeah. Yeah. What I think we're going to do is, because I think we have been talking about this a while. Shall we just move it on first? Because trying to understand all the, like, to remember all the details at the expertise level that you are at, is gonna hold. I think the discussion that normally we get out of this, right? So shall we just move it on? Yeah, to read on first, and then I know the clarity will come as we move on.
Okay.
Okay. Because Lee, for you and I, there's no way we can understand it so fast. It takes a while.
But what
Okay.
I want you
So,
to understand, and what I want you to understand
yes.
is not all of this formula and all these shapes. I want you to understand the principle of duality, what it means.
Yep.
That is, duality is that two fill the whole space. That is the central message here. Everything that she's saying is that.
Okay.
She's saying that the vector equilibrium and the rhombic dodecahedron fill the whole space. And we know that the rhombic dodecahedron is stable and the vector equilibrium is unstable. Do you understand the significance of it? How powerful it is? You can go through all your formula, but you wouldn't, you read the formula, you read the whole book, you don't understand this, because a lot of people have done it and they haven't understood.
Yep.
Duality means
Okay.
filling the whole space.
Okay.
What Richard always referred to, complete dialogue. In an organization, do you let the other people express themselves? And remember that when other people are in the mode of expressing, you should be in the mode of receiving. That is, shut up. In an organization. Right?
Yeah.
So this is very valid. And we've been trying to grasp what the vector equilibrium here. The vector equilibrium is made of all of those equilateral triangles. We see them. It is a sphere. It is unstable. And it has the void that is in between it is a rhombic dodecahedron. That's one when you collapse it, it goes into the rhombic dodecahedron quick. Or depending on length to the isocosahedron. Because the rhombic dodecahedron and the isocosahedron has exactly the same volume, 20 tetrahedron. Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Good. We can
All
read
right,
Susan Anne, yes.
Yeah, Richard, continue, please. Would you like to do that? The domain, or is there anything you want to unpack?
We'll
Where?
start, yeah, domain. I'm interested in domain as well, and for some other things that I'm doing. Anyway, the duality between the vector equilibrium and the rhombic dodecahedron illustrates the relationship of duality and domain. Okay. Having already seen that spheres in closest packing outline the vertices of the vector equilibrium, we now turn our attention to the domain of individual spheres. The domain of a sphere is defined as the region closer to a given sphere's center than to the center of any other sphere. This necessarily includes the sphere itself, as well as the portion of its surrounding gap that is closer to the sphere than to any other. Imagine a point at the exact center of an interstitial gap. This will be the dividing point between neighboring domains. That is, a vertex of the polyhedron outlined by the sphere's domain. This domain polyhedron happens to be the rhombic dodecahedron. As each sphere in cubic packing is by definition identically situated, each domain must be the same. Therefore, the shape of this region consistently fits together to fill space. Fuller's term of the rhombic dodecahedron is spheric because of this relationship to spheres in closest packing.
Did you understand what it means here?
No,
Okay, this is what I understand.
I think let it.
I'm not sure. Yes? And?
Yes, for me, I'm ready to let it flow on first.
oh,
Yeah, okay.
continue. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So we now have an experiential base for the vector equilibrium rhombic dodecahedron duality. 12 vectors emanate from any point in the IVM, locating the vertices of the vector equilibrium. Well, poking through the center of the 12 diamond faces, which frame the point's domain, we were introduced to duality as an exact face-to-vertex correspondence. And now we see how duals can be instrumental in locating a system's domain. Our investigation of space filling in Chapter 12 will explore this relationship more fully. Returning to the IVM, we observe that 4 rhombic dodecahedra, or spherics, come together at the center of each tetrahedron. Such a tetrahedron central angle becomes the obtuse surface angle of the spheric. In the same way, 8 cubes meet at the center of each octahedron, as allowed by the shared 90-degree surface and central angles respectively. For clarity, we shall refer to the new network interconnecting the centers of all octahedral and tetrahedral cells as IVM. And we can draw the following conclusion.
Sorry.
If the vertices of a given polyhedron are located in the IVM, then the system's dual will be outlined by the IVM and vice versa.
Okay, I'm trying to find where we are at. Sorry. Down here. Which paragraph are we at?
Starting with for clarity.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that one.
Mm.
So for clarity, we shall refer to the new network interconnecting the centers of all octahedral and tetrahedral cells as IVM. And we can draw the following conclusion. If the vertices of a given polyhedron are located in the IVM, then the system's dual will be outlined by the IVM and vice versa. Similarly, if a polyhedron is centered on a vertex of the IVM, its dual will be centered on a vertex of IVM. I'm not sure what that symbol means.
You mean the acronym?
No,
Well, not the acronym, but the
apostrophe.
sort of quotation mark, the apostrophe, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see that now.
I was missing that before. So,
Yeah.
so that really is again speaking to the IBM, and its dual will be centered on the vertex in the IBM apostrophe.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we recall our first case of duality. The vertices of the octahedron's dual, the cube, are supplied by the octahedron centers, which are nodes of the IBM apostrophe. This discovery leads us to another assumption. As truncation of our familiar polyhedra yields shapes contained within the IBM, the dual operation stellation should produce polyhedra outlined by the IBM apostrophe. The assumption is valid. The additional IBM apostrophe vertices provide the loci for the vertices of a stellated versions of these basic shapes. Actually, this observation is not new, for we already have seen that quarter tetrahedral pyramids affixed to an octahedron, just like Manu was showing us, faces affixed to the octahedron faces produce fuller spheric, or in other words, that a degenerately stellated octahedron becomes a rhombic dodecahedron. The three valent vertices of this diamond-faceted shape are tetrahedron centers, by definition nodes of the IBM apostrophe. Well, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. We pause here for a bit, yeah? I think
Yeah.
right now we're looking at the stellation and the truncation, right? Which we've been through. And I think for Lee, I think you may need a bit of help with that stellation and the truncation, yeah?
Yes.
Because we spent quite a bit of time unpacking that. In order to do that, I think I've got to go backwards to one of the
Diagrams.
yeah. I think it's this one. If you look at
We can go
this
yeah, that one. Yeah.
I think Manu's your Star of David structure.
Mm.
Well, I think on 912, when you see on the octahedron there, and the dark lines, the triangles,
Uh-huh.
when you could take a tetrahedron like the one above it and put its triangle bottom, if you want, face onto the face of the octahedron, and then you do that 8 times around the octahedron, you'll get this that dual tetrahedron in the Star of David that he was talking about.
Ah.
Can I show something else that will cement what I think is fundamental here?
But is
Because
that,
I believe
am I
you
doing
can.
okay there in terms of taking each of those tetrahedrons and putting them on the face and moving it around, and then you'll end up with 8?
I think
Yes,
that's
I've had you.
truncation, right? I think that's truncation, right? One is stellation.
Yes, right.
This is truncation, putting it yeah. Manu, you want to share, right?
You want to listen to? Okay, yes. I want to share something which I think is simple. Although it doesn't look to me that I succeed in convincing you of a simplicity. But let's just see. Do you see this?
Yes. Looks like a clock.
Yeah. Exact. So you understand what the clock is now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, okay. Do you see X, Y, Z?
Yes.
X, Y, Z in this case of a plane here is the IVM. Do you understand that?
The what?
The IVM.
Oh, okay.
Do you see the space, the void between those three hands?
Yes.
The white void.
Hmm.
Do you know what it is? I wrote it here.
Yes, domain.
Exact. Now, do you see the green outline?
Yes. Not
What
quite a
is it?
circle.
Yes, what is it?
A fuzzy circle.
Yes, but it's a polyhedron. It's what we
Yes.
see.
Yes.
It's the boundary.
Ah.
Do you agree that the whole of this, all of these three form the whole? Whole, W-H-O-L-E.
Oh. Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
The,
Now.
the
Yeah.
whole. So that's what she has been describing them on those pages.
Golly.
The IVM is a dual of the space that is around it.
Uh-huh.
And the space around it is a polyhedron. It's more generalized than anything. So she took the particular case of the vector equilibrium, which is the maximally inflated universe. And the referential of that vector equilibrium is that the vector equilibrium, and the space that is in is a domain. We live in a domain.
Mm.
We live in a domain. And she said further that if you take a point in the domain, that is this sphere here at the center of this, let's just say this is me here, is on not only me, but my influence around here, because there's another person here. If I put in yellow here, in I don't know, unfortunately I don't have any other color. You see this other person here?
Yes.
She say, me being this center here, I share with that person a domain and influence that is half the distance between our centers.
Wow.
That's the closely packed. If the sphere are individual, are closely packed, the void that is between the sphere,
Uh-huh.
half of it is influenced by me, and half of it is influenced by the other guy that is closest to me.
Uh-huh.
Now, do you understand duality?
No, not quite.
Because on my side, it is covered and the other side is overt from my
Oh.
point of view.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If I look from me, if I'm here, I'm looking into that space.
Uh-huh.
That half that I influence
Uh-huh.
is gravitational to me.
Okay.
I influence it. It is towards me. It's under
Yes.
my influence.
Yes. Yes.
That one that is of this other individual is open, is going to that individual.
Yes.
So compared to me, that is overt,
Oh, I see.
right? That is
Okay.
open. That is hyperbolic. That is like a coupole. That is like an antenna that you turn to the heaven to receive, yes, your signal, your TV signal.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's the same analogy. When you are at your home, your antenna is concave because it's pulling information to you.
Yes.
And that information, you can switch it on and off. You control it. But information that is going out of the antenna, you cannot control it.
Oh.
It is open.
Yeah.
It does not convert to you. So to me, that is what I want people to understand. It is not the formula, all the verbiage. That is complicated. It's for scientists. But for us to apply this stuff, we need to understand it with our senses.
So you're saying that in that image that you have on your paper,
Yes.
the green circle is not being drawn to the center of you. It's
No,
only
the green circle is the boundary of our universe.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Our universe is finite.
Okay.
So, Lee, you and me, we have a universe when I'm conversing with you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So there's an axis between you and me, but that axis is wrapped by something that is of concern to our conversation. That wrap of something is the polyhedron.
Ah.
The direct line, when we used to use the telephone, the line. You remember the old phone when you
Yes,
dial up?
the old phone.
The
Yes.
direct line between you and me is the axis, is the
Ah.
X. It goes to you and comes to me in one direct line. Now, the influence, the void around it is the domain of the conversation. I'm talking with you. Does it concern your daughter? Does it concern my son?
No.
Does it? No, I'm just saying it could. That
Oh,
will
it
be the
could.
domain of our conversation.
Oh, I see.
What
So
is
a
concerned with?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
And the domain is delineated by the boundary. That's what they say in business. You start, define what your boundary is.
Yeah.
And they advise people to decide big, to start big. And hopefully constrain it in order to achieve an objective.
Mm.
If you don't understand this mathematics in this way, you're just going to be a mathematician.
Well,
And if you're just a mathematician, you're pretty useless to society. I repeat, useless. Because you speak your language is between a few. That language does not permeate. And when that language yields something, other people are just slaves to it because they're just users. They don't understand what is on it. But if you read it this way, it becomes something else. Okay, I'm true. So I was saying my contention is that the whole of this can be understood on the basis of little simple things like this. That you see, you feel, you understand.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
We used to write, Anne, I'm sure you did it. We used to program in Fortran. It was a coded language. Fortran or BASIC. I'm sure Richard knows what I'm talking about. Or Steve. So that were coded language, and we used to make it even more complicated. You did perforate cards. You know, you had a typing machine, right?
Uh-huh.
You type, it make holes on the card.
Yes. Yes.
And then you took those cards in the batch, you took it to some center where there was a guy in white blouse, and the place was air conditioned and clean.
Mm-hmm.
That completely kept you out of that technology. Really out.
Mm.
What has come now with the advent of the PC, and then on the operating system that we have today, and artificial intelligence, it is bringing that to you. The bug is coming back to you. It will say, you use it and understand what it is. The principle haven't changed. You're rich, we have grown. So technology is only made possible by the people who are going to use it. If they grow in the use of it, that's all. Otherwise, we wouldn't have clients. Okay, I'm through.
Thank you.
okay, let me talk a little bit about domain in the context of well, I'm going to put it in the context of Thomas Kuhn, who wrote about the revolutions in scientific revolutions. And he talked about anything can be a science as long as it has a specified domain. In other words, an area of work or an area of service. So, for example, a discipline like education or a discipline like medicine has a domain. And what I appreciate from what Manu was just talking about, it gives you an idea of what domain means. What's the domain of medicine? What's the domain of psychology, domain of education? It means the area around something that's important to you that you work in. And it includes then those people who are going to be affected by or be part of your domain. So it would include individuals, families, that sort of thing that are going to be treated by the practitioners of medicine. And the argument is that anything can be a science or discipline as long as it has an identified domain. In other words, it's got a boundary and it has things going on inside it that are sort of exclusive to that domain. And when I started to work with that, I also found out in my own mind that the domain of the people we serve is in many ways, in a conceptual way, it's the same domain of those that are doing the serving. Just like Manu was saying, between himself and Lee, he's surrounded by a domain, Lee's surrounded by a domain, and between the two of you, there's another domain.
That circle both of us.
Yeah. And so, and in between very often is the discipline or the science, and it's called a paradigm. Because
Oh.
And the paradigm, again, is a set of beliefs that are common to whatever the group of people are. And they have ethics and guidelines and so forth. And they actually serve as the vehicle that takes the person who was interested, the young person who wants to go to school, let's say, they take their personal domain, life, and they put it into an educational system, and it teaches them the paradigm of that system. And then you use that teaching to serve the domain of your discipline. And so you've got these three contexts or three domains kind of working with each other. And so the way Manu outlined domain with the boundaries and the midpoint and the other points in terms of being part of the same domain is very valuable in terms of having a sensory idea of what a domain looks like rather than just the words on a paper that define domain.
And I like that.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Actually, the last time you sent me, your the tetrahedron, right?
Right.
You sent me the graphics. Yes. I think right now I'm ready to go back and relook at it because I have more context and more information on this, and with the domain and the paradigms, I think that would start to to pull together. I'll have a look again. I want to study it again.
And
Okay.
hang on. Let me just say one thing, Anne. When you're doing that, is that now, and again, because of our dialogues over time, the domain of what you are doing with your school kids, the educational domain. You've carved out a domain um, um, in relation to the young people that you're teaching. And you actually say it's different than the educational domain that a professionally trained educator goes through. And then you have a paradigm in your organization, the way in which you put everything together to go into the classroom. And then those people who work for you come from their own personal domains, and they come into your system. You orientate them in terms of your paradigm, and then they convey that work through the paradigm of the students that, or not the paradigm, but the domain of the students that you have carved out in terms of your educational approach. And then you have methodologies that carry those three contexts together in a teacher-student relationship over
Like
whatever
about
period.
it spreads.
Yeah.
So it continues.
Yeah.
That's where the universe is a continuation of domains.
That's right. Yeah, and they're intersecting, and just like Manu was saying too, that there's constant movement. So what's going on between the teacher and the student is a zigzag, constant moving back and forth, and then together on the axis of the teacher and the student, they create motion that's perpendicular to the axis of their relationship. And that's what we would call, in an educational context, learning. And it also explains why many times, let's say a student will come and thank a teacher for all the help that they got. And the teacher turns around and says, well, yeah, because I have to thank you because I've learned just as much from you as you've probably learned from me. And that's a very common exchange between people. And I think it's explained by Fuller's idea of procession, because it's the two of them are actually working back and forth together. It's not one,
Mythology.
Yeah, and it's not one sort of putting their expertise on the other and making them follow, the guidelines of the expert. It's actually two experts working back and forth together that create the motion that's called learning. And then it can be called application of learning when you get out into the world and do whatever you do with it.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard. That was
Sorry.
sorry.
Did you
Okay.
see my comment there? In
No.
the chat. I say domain is what you call area of relevancy.
Yes.
Paradigm is the way of telling the story. It comes from para. Para means around, without being.
Yeah.
And then dime is domain. Around the domain, paradigm.
See,
Methodology is a process. And
Right.
and Kelly always talk about the system process duality. In this case, boundary, IVM, and domain is a system that define the system. And the rules define the processes, the rules and processes. Any organization has that. You have a system, then you have the way you run your business. That is your rules and your processes.
yeah,
And
I just went through.
the two is a duality. And if I came out of this talk with those cemented in me, I think I would have grown. Okay, that was my comment.
Well, and you add to that, when you talk about rules, then you're talking about validators.
Yeah.
And validators govern the nature of the relationship. Yeah. But
Actually,
I really, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'll just finish there. Yeah.
sure. Oh,
No,
so
yeah, go ahead.
oh, okay. No, I just want to say, because just now as we went down the path of domain and paradigms, right? Thank you for that, Manu. The definition of those terms and methodologies and systems, right? Because just the past 2 weeks ago, we ended up with a clash of domains. I can see it. I can now put it into terms like for Bucky, because there's a clash of domains as to what we set up versus what parents were expecting, you know. And the yardstick is basically the traditional Asian education system.
Mhm.
So any misbehavior, any child coming in and they misbehave, it's on the school, because we didn't discipline them while they're in class. So we already, for us, as when we set up the school, we were already very clear. We cannot do discipline the way Asian parents deem it to be, including school teachers, right? Because the style of disciplining, which is external, it leads to total obedience. They are expecting total obedience. And so what showed up was when Jeff Timmons was at our school doing a Q&A with the students. First and foremost, all of us were shocked at the level of questions that was coming up that was coming up from our students. Primary kids as young as 10 years old to students in secondary, all of them, they had no qualms about asking questions, and there was no lag of waiting for someone to ask a question, right? And two girls, even better, they shared something, and then before they asked the question, they related it and sang a part of 98 Degree Song, which was just so apt, you know. But my point is the nature of the children, right? And that was just right there. It was perfect for us to explain to the parents. I used it because if you want kids to come out like this, all of them, no fear to ask questions, they cannot expect the same type of disciplining, you know. Because if you expect the naughtier kids, or the ones that may be a little more challenging, and that we yell at them or punish them, then what we will get is everybody else, the good kids and the rest of them, even the bolder ones, they'll shut down. They're not going to talk. Just like all Asian students, generally, they will never ask questions, and they will just sit back, and they will never volunteer. So I had to talk to the parents, and now I know how to use, I will use the word domain. There's a clash of domain right there, you know, because these kids who are more challenging require more patience from us to turn it into self-discipline. Yeah. And that's a whole different ball game, and you cannot use the same methods to get there. My God, this is perfect. I can use the word domains to help the parents understand. Because I was using the word yardstick, it's not good enough. Yardstick is very one-dimensional, you know. Domain is very three-dimensional and four-dimensional.
Further, Anne,
or multiple.
without interrupt, just buttress what you are saying. You see this? This is a cartoon for you. Use it next time. Okay. You remember that the green is Anne and her influence. You, your team, and your influence. You set and you dream of something. You dream of this domain here in green. Anne. This is the Asian here in orange. They have their system of education that is completely, it is concave to them, but it's convex to you. So from your point of view, you have a concave, convex here, and then you see this now. You see that now the two influence, you come into contact. You're trying to erode, to penetrate them. So you have ace here. This is ace. All right? And this boundary, you understand why they say life is concave. Life cannot happen outside of a concave. Life is bounded. Your universe is finite. It's finite here. Now, your job here is to erode this border here. Is dynamic because it's changing. Your goal, your objective is to change the perceptions of these orange people by your education, by your engagement, whatever. And that's the proper cartoon for you. So this is the domain of ACE that's going to grow and grow. This is the boundary of ACE, right? And that's the way you can present it. Yeah.
Can you snapshot and send it through to our chat group?
I will send it. I don't know. I don't want to take too much time. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will just send.
Yeah,
I'll send it.
yeah.
I'll just scan it and send it to the chat group. Okay.
Yeah, just later. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Oh my God, I got so much out of it today. Steve, you want to take it back on? It's so much harder so much harder.
No, you were brilliant, Anne. It's not
Thank
hard.
you
It's
so
not
much,
hard.
Steve.
All right,
No,
I'll-
really
don't give.
appreciate-
No. I don't agree. You should finish this call. I don't
I
agree that
like-
you give it back to
I
Steve.
like the
No?
stretching. I like stretching.
But I think, Steve, I think that you should allow you to finish the call. To be truthful.
Okay, sure. I'll do
You
that.
should. Yes.
Okay,
So
I
you're going to
think,
go ahead and finish
thank
the
you.
call, right? Okay, good.
So I think we can continue on because we still have, what's the timing like? Oh no, we don't have much time left. So maybe Steve,
I think we
You-
could do another reading for another 10 minutes.
No, I think so. We are
You don't
just.
think
We are
so?
just. We are just.
Okay, good.
five of us.
Then let's then Anne, you continue to conduct and call for takeaways.
okay, conduct the call,
Yeah,
continue.
just continue. Yeah, just
Yeah, we'll
continue
read.
to call for takeaways and we'll go home.
At this point,
Yeah, if you're ready.
okay, yeah.
Unless you want to do something else, you're in charge.
Okay, yeah. I think there are a few more things that we can unpack from what we have read, you know, and that's a lot I got from Manu and Richard, and so Lee, if there's anything you want to add, I think I gave my 2 cents there. Steve, anything you want to share first, and we will go into the you know,
I'll share mine. I'll share mine in the takeaways. Okay.
Oh, okay, sure. We'll start with that. Okay. Yeah, Steve, how do you feel? What is your takeaway?
Oh, okay. We'll do that. All right. Good deal.
Oh, is that how far we're gonna go?
Well, I'm waiting for you to tell me. So I'm happy to.
Okay. All right. Why
okay,
don't you
good.
share first? We'll do the takeaways later because yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have me share first. Okay, good. So I just walked in at the very end of this thing. I started the thing and I walked in at the very end of it, and I heard you guys talking about domains, and I think that I'm gonna just share for a second because that's what I do, is do crazy stuff. You know, the way I think I normally agree with everybody in terms of what a domain is, except tonight I noticed I had a little difference. If I what I normally how I normally depict the situation is like, here's the universe. I'm gonna give me a second here, and I'm going to draw the universe. Here's the universe, and then what we have is we have a domain in the universe, and this is how I traditionally thought about domains in the universe. And so, like, this person has a domain over here, it's social work, and then this person here has a domain over here. Let me get some really cool shape here that's a little bit different. And we're going to call that education and teaching. And then sometimes we'll get a domain that'll be like, I'm a consultant. And so maybe what'll happen is that I'm looking for a nice little rectangle here. Normally it's right up here, but I've been screwing around with my things today doing some new stuff. So as a consultant, I might be like that. You know, I might have my domain might be partly here and partly there. That's kind of how I heard you guys talking about domains. And when it came to me, it was something a little bit different, because in fact, this is the problem. If I set up a domain and I say this is the part of the universe I'm talking about, it
I can do that, but I'm arbitrarily setting a boundary because in actuality, the entire universe is there, and what I'm doing is just focusing. I think a better word than domain would be focus, because domain kind of it kind of invites people to have some kind of dominion, right? This is my domain. This is what I'm controlling. And what they do is they leave stuff out. If I'm over here in the triangle and I say this is my domain, I've left all of this out. And as I was hearing you guys talk, what I thought of was the James Webb Telescope. This is the universe. And this is our solar system. Here's the planets around here. And then here are the other things around. And then here are the things right at the edge of the solar. Some of these things are clear off at that end of the universe. They're 24 billion light years away. And some of these things are just on this end of the universe. They're only 10 billion light years away. Yet with my lens, they look almost equal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I might say, well, this is my domain, but really I need to be sensitive to the fact that the universe is my domain, and my focus should not leave out the rest of the universe. In other words, I need to have a hypergraph where every aspect of my focus interconnects with every other aspect of the focus. Let me see if I can find one more graphic really seeing here. I think I have a starburst. Starburst. Let's see if I called it a starburst. Well, I need a different one than that. Hang on, let's call it a star. And let's see if I can grab a star. Thank you guys for being real patient with me here. But I know exactly which one I want to find. I hope I can find it. It's almost kind of like this guy, but not quite. Here we go. This is the one. All right. So I actually thought of a different one than this one, but it'll do. So I'm going to throw it in here at first. Aha, see that?
Mm-hmm.
So really what's going on here is that I'm going to float this on top and put it on top in front. So what's going to happen is, and I got to make it transparent so that it actually works. Okay, good. So what's going on here is this is my focus, but if I am not connecting to every aspect of universe, my focus is going to leave something out. So I think the term domain is exclusive, and I don't think it should be. I think it needs to be inclusive, and it's about focus. And so I'm just going to take my little star here and say, look, that looks like a domain, but it's really focus. And when I focus, it distort reality, because some of these solar systems are closer to me and some are further away from me, because as you guys know, the Milky Way, our galaxy, is about 2/3 out of the center of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the very edge, and yet when we look, it all looks the same. So there was my 2 cents. So it's simply a rhetorical approach that domain might more clearly be stated as area of focus, because if I say domain, I'm leaving out the rest of the universe and I'm trying to take dominion of a certain aspect. I'm not saying you all did that in your conversations. I'm just saying that I became aware of that paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was that's my few minutes of listening. I was able to break away tonight, and my son has a album. He's been writing songs like me. I've got about 65 songs written and about 10 or so recorded, and he's recorded like 10 or 12 or 15 of his songs superbly. He's a great producer. He plays all the instruments. He's a much better musician than I am, and he's a much better producer than I am. I could totally depend on the people, but I went and saw his show tonight. He played for an hour set. It was quite nice. And over the time, I'll share some of the music with you. He's JT Bevy. He's on Spotify, and he's on other stuff. He's on YouTube and stuff. So you'll get to know him over a period of time. So thanks for excusing me. I did hear from Joe. He evidently was tied up as well, and he didn't get my message about co-hosting tonight until too late. So I'm very grateful, Anne, for you jumping in and taking over the show tonight. Richard, how are you feeling, and what are your takeaways?
I'm feeling very good, or energized. And I really appreciate what you just talked about, because that this is the the dilemma around the concept of domain, because it is when you talk about the domain of somebody's discipline, it often does and still does come across, if that's my domain and you have no business being in it. um, and it's the word exclusive is very dominant, if you want, in that kind of understanding. And so I like the shift to area focus, area of service, area of where you do your work. And the paradigm is along the line of what Manu was saying. It's the circle around the nature of the work that you're doing, and you get indoctrinated in that by going to some degree program, let's say, or some trade school or whatever it might be. And then there's the domain of your own life. And in the same way, it's just an area of focus of your living. It's not that you have a domain over it, and in terms of you own it all by yourself, and nobody else can sort of come in and out of it. And this is what I like about the three contexts of the area of focus and where we do our service, the paradigm that teaches me how I'm supposed to be able to do it, and the area of those who come into that paradigm to learn in order to go out and serve to others. And there's a cross-pollination going on between them all the time. And then the duality of the systematic way or the process way of you carrying out your work vis-a-vis somebody's, the domain of your service, the paradigm, what you've been trained to do, and the domain of the people living their lives every day when they leave their domain, their paradigm work. So it's a beautiful sort of way of putting together this idea of the dualities of things like context and process, the dualities of concave and convex, and duality in that sense is a coexistence. It's not an opposition or a separation. So thank you all. This has been wonderful. And some of the paragraphs that we read tonight, I would never have dreamed that I could have come out of it with the kind of feeling that I'm having right now in terms of understanding things like domain and paradigm and domain and process. Manu, how are you feeling, and what's your takeaway tonight?
Sorry. I'm feeling grateful first. Awakened. I was half awakened when we started the call. I think now that I'm fully awake. I mean, as a comment, I would just like to poke Steve a little bit, right? I would say domain is a space of relevancy. Why? Steve made the comment that our galaxy is a little bit on the outboard of a center of universe. Yes. And that's the reason why there's life. Because if there's no life, if we're too close, there won't be life. If there's no life, all of this has no meaning. Right? And then my last point is, if you really want to understand this thing, I think that I highly recommend that you do what I did with Steve, is take glue, pair of scissors, and a sheet of paper, and then cut and glue. There are methods, right? If you are interested, I could put here for people, you know, like a method that you follow. You're going to have this. You're going to have a nice cup like this. This is my cup. This is the geodesic dome. This is a geodesic dome. Yeah, this guy is a geodesic dome. I'll have you have a lot, can do a lot of things, but mostly I think that exercise forces you to understand the basics, right? For example, today, one of the things that came out strongly and that she presented here was that the IVM is a dual to the domain. One is stable, the other one is unstable. The IVM is unstable. The other one is stable. So the principle of duality is a general principle that is highly embedded. The second thing was that that duality, you know, like the referential, when we want to understand things, we've been talking a lot about referential here. Did you see the link between referential and the IVM and the vector equilibrium? The vector equilibrium of Becky is a general referential. Okay? The domain, that is the void around it, is what we want to describe. And then you can use that referential to collapse, that is to build different structures which yield pi platonic solids that are stable, that allow you to describe that enclosed by the boundary universe with rational numbers. Everything within it can be written as a linear combination. Do you understand what that term? And when I talk about linear combination, linear combination is to say, for example, 2 times 1/3 plus 3 times 1/4 plus like this, with those being integers. What is on the numerator and the denominator and the multiplier being integers to yield whatever value that you want. And there will be numbers that are in there that are not determined, that are approached, but without being transcendental. Have you heard about the word transcendental? Have you heard about the word transcendental?
Sure.
Yes. Pi is transcendental. You cannot define pi in the domain. It is transcendental to the domain. E, the basis of logarithm, is transcendental. Do you get me? But the Fibonacci, the golden ratio, is not transcendental. It's not defined, but you can approach it progressively with ratios that you can take a ratio. That is, you can take a quantity put, take a quantity put, take a quantity put, a certain number of time and get closer to it. Pi, you can't do that. Pi is pi. That's what it is. It is transcendental. It is metaform. So this building with paper allows you to understand those things and then to cut through quickly on the scientific verbiage. There's a lot of verbiage on scientific because maybe I don't accuse them of wanting to keep the knowledge between themselves, but there's a lot of verbiage. You can cut through the chase and get the substance with methods that are simple if you fail the fundamental of it. And that is my last takeaway. Otherwise, I'm grateful of being around luminaries like you guys. And I don't know how many years of experience diverse are here. I don't know. It is unfathomable, but it is what it is. And then we are in it. We are influencing each other. Thank you all. Lee, how do you feel? What do you take away?
My takeaway is that I am seeing that you start out with a triangle, which then develops because it goes and reaches out to another triangle and another triangle, making into stars. I can't remember the name of the stars that you showed me, Manu and Steve, but I really associate with reaching out and grabbing hold of an individual triangle or an individual, and bringing them in and talking with them and understanding them, which then sends me out to another triangle and another person and go on and on. And that makes the world and the universe as it is. I am now beginning to understand what is involved in the universe. Anne, did you have your time? I turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
And Anne, I'd like to just say one more thing before you end up the call, because if I may, because I want to agree with Manu. In fact, I meant to talk about his relevancy. I really liked his reference to relevancy. I used the word focus, and I thought relevancy was really good, especially considering Bucky's circles of irrelevancies and how we do focus. So I finalized this chart like this. And then when I originally showed you the chart, I showed you this guy. Let's see if I can get down there real fast.
Mhm.
Bam. Okay, I showed you this guy, but as you guys were talking, I remember there are no straight lines in the universe, so a better chart would be something like this. Because there are no straight lines in the universe. And if I think there are, I'm a whack job. So this is my new definition of domain and focus and circles of relevancy and irrelevancy. So I'm going to keep that in mind. So thank you for letting me um, thanks for letting me barge in. And now, Anne, I turn it over to you for your however you want to end it up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me take on this session and very patiently working with it. Yep. Thank you. Right. I want to go back to the domain part, right? Because I know we unpacked this. We took quite a bit of time to unpack it the last time, right? So I realize now is that the parents are at the domain side, yeah, because it's okay. Domain, when you talk about dominion, right? For most people, they are the center of their universe, okay, and they build their domain around their lives, around what they want, and so on and so forth, right? So and so that when you're in that domain frame of mind, then you have then you will have the clashes that comes along, you know. But yes, I love the area of relevancy, because last time also we went down this path, and because it's not on its own, there's also the paradigm coming in, and the IVM and so on, right? So I love that, because it's not limited to just domain. And actually, if we start to move and get people to shift their domains to area of relevancy, then I'm thinking of our dynamic equilibrium, right? So it's not a balance thing. We're not coming to a balance, but we're coming towards a dynamic equilibrium where we start to merge things, and then this will come in, and it becomes it becomes a norm, right? At a different levels, because if more of it comes in, then the norms will will increase or reduce accordingly, right? So I really love that I can see the domain as we move forward to shift it for in my case for the parents and the teachers, then I see the dynamic equilibrium. That's really sitting very well with me. And the other one is I would when the radio show comes on, I will share the link with you. The talk show, the host, as they spoke to Jeff, and so his experience with it'll give you a clearer idea what we want to do with our school. The next I would say iteration, right? The next iteration, and the evolution of where the future, the next 20 years of education, where we're going to take it. So it's going to show up in that discussion, and then also he was talking about how his whole interaction with the students, how it showed up. So it will be in his words, and then it'll give you more context as to what I had to talk to the parents about. Yeah, let me get hold of that interview, and I will share it with you, okay, when it comes out. So thank you very much, everybody. So I'm complete there. And yes, we'll see each other again next week. Yes.
Thank you.
Can I just make a correction here? I
Mm.
say IVM is not IVM, it's VE, vector equilibrium.
Oh,
Vector equilibrium, domain, and boundary define the whole system, right? And duality, another definition of duality is two things, at minimum, two things that fill the whole space and are sufficient for the whole space to function for what it was intended to. Let me say it again. A duality is a system of two that first fill the whole space of that universe, and secondly, are sufficient to allow the universe to function for what it was created to do. That's, to me, another definition that emerged from our discussion today.
With
Okay.
that, we landed right sharp 1 p.m. 1 a.m. your time. Okay. And Manus, I'm not sure. All right. Thank you so much,
It's
everybody.
7, it should be 7 p.m. here.
Okay.
7 p.m. to the dot. 7 a.m.
Thank you.
a.m.
So bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
thank
Okay.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.